When his cell phone vibrated in his pocket, again, the only thing that kept Dustin Fremont from flinging his boss's dry cleaning into the nearest mud puddle was knowing he'd have to schlep back to the cleaners and demand a rush job. Okay, so two things. Los Angeles in June was noticeably lacking in mud puddles. Why did I ever bemoan safe soggy Portland? At least it never failed when it came to the time-honored "I dropped it in a puddle" excuse, as useful for annoying bosses as it was for humorless algebra teachers. Although, come to think of it, he'd always had to redo the algebra assignment too. Dustin juggled Ari's gray Brioni suit in its suffocation danger plastic, the bag of organic grapes Ari expected in his dressing room the instant he arrived at the studio, and the massive bouquet for Ari's flirt du jour to dig his phone out. But by the time he'd gotten to it, the flowers would be somewhat worse for wear from their header onto the sidewalk. The call had gone to voicemail. The message would, no doubt, lead with another not-so-rhetorical question about why people had cell phones if they were never going to answer them, even though Dustin had fielded 5 calls from Ari already in the 2 hours since he'd left Ari's Malibu beachfront house. In other words, just another normal day in the life of Ari Dimitriou's personal assistant. Dustin smiled at the security guard who held the door and ushered him into the PRDE network headquarters' vast lobby. "Thanks, Tim." "Sure, Dustin." Tim nodded at the dry cleaning. "Ari's got another big appearance tonight?" "If you call dinner with a vacuous model/actor an appearance." Dustin rounded his eyes at Tim. "Oh, did I say that?" The guard chuckled. "Nobody'll hear it from me." Dustin lifted his elbow to give Tim access to his messenger bag. "Check the middle pocket. I picked up some rugelach for you and the guys today." "From that place on Burbank? Awesome." Tim lifted the flap and retrieved the bakery bag with barely a rustle. Not bad for a guy with hands the size of Easter hams. "Although I think I'll hide them in my locker. Not sure I want to share." "You don't fool me." Dustin caught the dry cleaning bag before it could slither to the floor. "You're just an old softy." Tim mock glared from under his uniform cap brim. "Don't let it get out, you'll ruin my rep." He pulled a rugelach out of the bag and popped it into his mouth hole. "Thanks, Dusty. You're the best." Dustin hid his wince over the nickname. He'd spent 15 years burying Dusty Darling behind Dustin Fremont. Of course, Tim didn't mean anything by it. He'd probably never heard of Dusty Darling. And that's how I like it. He nodded to Tim since his hands were too full to salute and trotted to the elevator bank. He pushed the call button with an elbow, breathing a sigh of relief when the doors opened on a car immediately. He stepped inside and managed to poke the button for the 6th floor with his middle finger. Appropriate. But nothing happened. "Shoot," he muttered. "Where the heck is my badge?" "All right, back pocket." He turned around and bumped the mag card reader with his ass. Sadly, that's the most action I've gotten in months. Years, actually. Nothing since Walker walked. The doors slid closed, their mirrored finish verifying what Dustin already suspected. He looked like a startled red-headed giraffe trying unsuccessfully to convince everyone he was really a fox, which was exactly why Dusty Darling had retired at the age of 10. Nobody wanted a cute kid model when cute is at least 2 years and 4 inches of awkward height in the rear view. When the elevator opened onto the 6th floor, a gang pounced on him before he got past the doors. Okay, fine, a gang of 2. Kristen Kemp, the makeup artist/stylist for Ari Dimitriou on Life, and Curtis Housemartin, the newest production assistant. A tall, reedy guy, whose prominent eyes and Adam's apple made him look like a touring production of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was short an Ichabod understudy. Kristen took the suit and thrust it at Curtis, who clutched it to his narrow chest. That's gonna leave wrinkles. Dustin sighed and added Steam Ari's suit to his mental to-do list. Jesus, D, you look like hell. Aw, thanks, KK. I can always count on my bestie to lift my spirits and bolster my self-confidence.